Hey everybody, Chris here. Dogecoin, Bitcoin, and the crypto market is in fear today. Why is this happening and where will things go from here? We're going to talk about that in this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when my new videos come out as well as when I do live streams. I take one day off. And what do you guys do, right? Bitcoin drops below 100K, Doge in the 15-cent range, and I'm like, can't even take a day off. So, well, I will be live again Wednesday afternoon. We'll see how the day goes today and where things are. Are we in recovery mode? Are we dropping lower, getting into a bear market, or just trading sideways for a bit, waiting to see what happens with the government shutdown, and is there going to be more leverage? We're going to go over all of that. So let me get to the charts and the news. I'll show you what I'm looking at. And we start here with the current Dogecoin chart, and we are at 16.4 cents. Yeah, 16.4. Hey, this is the same level we were at yesterday morning when I made my video. However, on Tuesday, started right around 10 o'clock, right? Dogecoin was trading up nice, 16.7, 16.8, and then we had sort of that typical Jane Street 10 o'clock dump, just like we had on Monday, the big Jane Street. They blame it on the market makers, right? And that's what happened on Monday, and again happened on Tuesday, driving Dogecoin's price down to 15.2 cents on the dip here. Started a recovery late in the day, but then last night had another dip back into the 15.4 range before recovering overnight. So this is where we start on a Wednesday. Bitcoin is at 102.5, seems to start to show some recovery. But again, we had not only the dip on Monday morning, but on overnight, Monday night, Bitcoin dropped below the lower end of the purple box. So that now becomes resistance for Bitcoin. And then we had the big drop on Tuesday, and Bitcoin later actually touched below 100K into the 99s, hit about 98.9 or so on the dip. And again, Bitcoin hasn't traded there in a long time, meaning that a lot of leverage was taken out. In fact, so much so that we look at CoinGlass and we look at how much leverage indeed, and it was $1.7 billion of leverage over the past 24 hours. So again, the market makers are in control of this market. And this is a level that Bitcoin had not seen since June here. And then we look at Dogecoins as well. Dogecoin's dip also the same. Haven't seen this level on that dip since June as well. Last time Doge was in the 15s. So the market structure has broken. And as we look at the daily here on Doge, we do see an incoming death cross. That's right. We had the gold cross here in August. We had Dogecoin trade up to 30 cents. But since then, we have gone into this government shutdown. We have fear in the market, and we have the market makers. Of course, we had the big flash crash on October 10th, that whole manipulated event. And since then, the market has shown weakness as the government shutdown looms, and negative economic outlooks are there. So there is a lot of sideways chop, but the market makers in control, taking out leverage. So that's where we begin. Why crypto's going down. Bitcoin, XRP, ETH, Doge prices crash. Well, not really a crash, right? It is a pullback. We had the crash October 10th. That was a crash. But the market lost $1 trillion in market cap. Again, that was at the very bottom there that we saw late yesterday, but has recovered some since then. The AI bubble contagion, I don't see that yet. I know some people are talking about this, but institutional outflows from Bitcoin ETFs. We saw the ETFs. I mean, these ETF traders aren't like long-term holders, so but here it is, the leverage cascade. And that's what it really is the market makers taking control of this market, the entire crypto ecosystem experiencing dynamic declines. ETH fell to 3,300, 16% two-day crash. So, it's not just Dogecoin, right? And not just Bitcoin, but ETH as well. And ETH took a much bigger hit as its trading goes down. They go back to like last week and Jerome Powell's hawkish remarks. Is that still like hanging over? Of course, he wasn't guaranteeing like rate cuts in December. He never does that, but people talk about that. That's just like... But as we saw, cryptocurrency prices continue to slide, pushed lower by lack of positive macro news. And we need that. We need the positive news to come in to sort of turn this market around. I mean, the market is getting tired. The buyers are leaving, right, and going into tech stocks, trying to follow that. But even the stock market pulled back yesterday as well. So that's this the broader tech sell-off that we had. Palantir, Nvidia, others, NASDAQ fell, S&P declined. So it was just a bad day for the markets overall. And we scroll down here for Dogecoin because we have death cross looming on XRP as well as Dogecoin. Could this be a channel bottom though? And is the overall structure still in place for Doge to bounce off this low and then go higher, as we've been watching this upward sloping support line? And as we dip below, is that support line going to become a resistance and Dogecoin bounce lower, or do we reclaim that line and get back over 18 cents again, back into the purple box? The magnet is losing its strength, right? Trying to get Doge to move up, right? All that going on. Bitcoin below 102. Some say extreme fear, although it is kind of fear. But the sentiment is there, and it is negative. On the coin market cap, fear and greed index, 20 is fear. I guess it did dip below into extreme fear yesterday afternoon, and now it's back at the lower end of the fear range, similar to back in March and April, when the sentiment was fear and greed was into extreme fear. And what happened in April? Right? We pulled out and we came up all the way into greed. So could that be the next move here? We get the extreme fear, then can we move up? Even Kaleo says, look, unfortunately, the support level I was watching obviously didn't hold. So you can't just blame Chris, right? You can blame Kaleo. You can talk to others. Nobody was predicting this kind of pullback overall on crypto Twitter. I didn't see any of the charts saying Bitcoin was dropping below 100K on those that I watched. There may have been some others that predicted it, and I know some of you guys have as well. It's like, but you think we're overall in a bear market, and I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Cleo says, would love to see this post be the bottom tick, but leaning toward a higher likelihood of one more sweep into the low 90s. And that makes sense. It's going to close the CME gap. It's going to take out more leverage. That's in the cards. We need the politicians in Washington to get together and end that government shutdown, right? We need to get that done. Archie says, look, if this structure doesn't totally break down, we could actually end up seeing another 2023 setup for continuation. So no rush to buy. Expect 4 to 5 weeks of consolidation, meaning while this negative sentiment is out there, we're not going to go higher, but we may not go lower either, and we may just kind of grind sideways for a bit. We may get a little recovery and then grind again. And that's in the cards. We saw that 2023. We could be having that again here in 2025. Plan B says, look, the RSI, this cycle, again, these are 4-year cycles, right? And we have these big blow-off tops in the RSI that we've had, especially 2017, 2021, although the overall average trend of relative strength index from 2017 to 2020 was a lower high, and then here we are 2025, and we're kind of been bouncing around sideways here. And we haven't had that big blow off, overbought RSI. And maybe we just don't have it this time. Maybe this is what we have become. Bitcoin Census says, look, Bitcoin is in a falling, broadening wedge. If we draw these lines, which could become this megaphone pattern that eventually we break out above and move higher, but there's less and less people actually talking about that right now, and more talking about maybe just kind of bouncing around sideways for a bit, which is where I am. Ash Crypto talking about hopium. Once the government shutdown ends, market will pump back up, with a question mark. Because in 2019, we had a government shutdown. Bitcoin dropped 20%, but then it rallied over 300% in the following months after the government shutdown ended. We had a big rally. So could that happen again? Some people are saying, oh, the government shut. It does put a big kind of negative view overall. If we look at Altseason, there are still some calling for the Bitcoin dominance to break down below 50% into the 40s. I've never been there, though. I said 50% would be the bottom that we would have. Could that happen, November and December now? Or are we just going to chop around? And it looks like more and more we're just going to be chopping around the 60% zone. Michael Vanderpop says a little deeper than expected on ETH. So no one was calling for ETH to drop like it did. And this is the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart. Because as we saw since the middle of 2025, Ethereum was actually outperforming Bitcoin a bit. But it's been pulling back. And so we have had ETH weakness versus Bitcoin. And we've had the same with Doge too. It's back down to 16. We were at 20, back down to 16. So there's been weakness there too. But what about Doge? We have the MACD crossing over. We have the downward channel ending, and we're breaking out, but the breakout is kind of sideways. It's not a big V-shaped recovery. So the breakout is sideways, and I think that's where we're going to be stuck for a while, is the sort of sideways trading. Breaking out sounds great, but it's not a V-shaped recovery. It's a sideways recovery, breaking out of the downward trading that we've had over the past few days and now pulling sideways. But the MACD can cross over. We can get up in the green here. But that just means we're not falling anymore at this point. So Dogecoin drops. Is the bear market now confirmed? I don't have confirmation of that, but I think with the negative sentiment, we're going to be sideways. We're looking for the positive economic news to come back in, and crypto news as well, which we've had more hints specifically about Dogecoin and maybe Elon Musk, right? He says it's time. That's on that whole SpaceX Doge 1 thing. That's pretty exciting. Doge OS, House of Doge. Get the government shutdown ending. We're going to have all these new ETFs for crypto, particularly Dogecoin as well. All of that is positive. But here we are right now, kind of bouncing around sideways. And this is where I think we're going to be for a bit. And maybe this yesterday afternoon dip into the 15s was the dip for this fall. And we go sideways and eventually move up from here. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think about the fear in the markets? How are you doing? And some of you will say, see, I told you so, Chris, or it's a bear market. You can tell it's been obviously bear market. Not convinced yet. We're not there yet. But let me know how you feel. Give the video a like if you haven't already. Please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.